I stood in the glass cathedral of Sterling Enterprises, 30 floors above Los Angeles' shimmering sprawl, when the boardroom ignited with betrayal. A financial scandal, my name slandered across every news outlet, threatened to topple my empire. As advisors clashed, a courier slipped me an unmarked envelope, its edges worn, heavy with secrets. Inside, a faded photograph stopped my heart. Sarah Jenkins, her smile as radiant as 6 years ago, stood with 3 children, triplets, whose hazel eyes echoed mine. A sun-shaped pendant, the twin of one I'd crafted for her on a Malibu beach, hung at her throat. My breath caught. Their birth date, July 20th, aligned with the night we swore eternity. Were these my children? A buried truth clawed free, whispering of manipulation. Fear surged, but so did a flicker of hope. I'd mastered control, yet this image undid me, hinting at a family stolen. The boardroom's din faded. Sarah's face, those children, burned in my vision. Who had hidden them? The pendant wasn't chance, it was a signal, calling me to answers. I clutched the photo, fingers shaking, as memories of her laughter crashed like waves. This scandal wasn't my ruin, it was my awakening. From my tower, the city sprawled like a map to redemption. Somewhere, they lived. And I'd cross oceans to find them. The horizon glowed, fierce with promise, and I vowed to chase it, no matter the shadows it revealed. I am Liam Sterling, billionaire architect of a Los Angeles dynasty, my name carved in steel and stock tickers. Yet, beneath the pressed suits and penthouse vistas, I am a ghost, haunted by a loss I can't name. My days dissolve in corporate battles, my nights in hollow encounters that never touch the void within. At 42, I own estates but feel rootless, my soul tethered to a past I can't reclaim. I've built a fortress of wealth, but it crumbles against solitude. Each sunrise, I face the mirror, meeting a man rich in power, poor in peace, chasing a warmth I lost long ago. 6 years ago, on a Malibu shore, Sarah's laughter was my compass, her touch a vow of forever. Under a starlit sky, we dreamed of a home with oak trees, children, a life woven in love. Then she vanished, leaving silence that cut deeper than any blade. I thought she'd forsaken me, her absence a scar I carried alone. Now, this photograph cracks that lie open. The triplets, the pendant, their birth date, they scream of a truth concealed. Someone tore us apart, stole my family. The pain of her loss, once muted, roars now, sharp as salt in a wound. I must find them, mend what was shattered, and uncover the hand that broke us. The scandal's venom turned Los Angeles into a barren plain, stripping me of my place in its golden heart. At Sterling Enterprises, once my fortress, I was a pariah. Board members, who once sought my favor, now whispered of my downfall, their eyes like dry winds. My phone, a conduit of power, lay silent, save for reporters' predatory calls. In my penthouse, 30 floors above the city's pulse, I dined alone, the skylines glow a taunt to my exile. The photograph of Sarah and the triplets Ethan, Chloe, Noah, was my sole refuge, yet it couldn't blunt the sting of erasure. On Rodeo Drive, I walked unseen, my wealth a brittle shield against strangers' sneers. My own staff averted their gazes. Loyalty crumbled by headlines. Each dawn, I held the photograph, tracing the sun-shaped pendant, its light a ghost of warmth lost. My reflection showed a man adrift. Yet the triplets' faces tethered me to purpose. In this desert of rejection, I learned the weight of invisibility, a king cast into shadow, yearning for a family beyond my grasp. The city's heat pressed like judgment, but their image whispered of a horizon worth chasing. I was alone, but not broken, the photograph a seed of hope in a wasteland, urging me to seek the truth that could restore what was stolen from me. Betrayal cut sharper than any scandal, its blade forged by family. 6 years ago, Sarah was my sanctuary. Her love a tide that carried me on Malibu's shores. Her disappearance left me wrecked, believing she'd chosen to flee. The photograph shattered that lie, pointing to my mother, Evelyn. Her disdain for Sarah had always been a cold current, her ambition a storm. In her Bel Air estate, I demanded answers. Her denial was smooth, but her eyes held a ruthless truth. Had she torn my family apart to protect her legacy? The pendant, the triplets' birth date, too deliberate for chance. My mother, my cornerstone, had likely orchestrated this fracture. The pain was a raw wound, trust swept away like driftwood. Driving back, the city's oaks stood as silent judges. If family could betray so mercilessly, what held meaning. The photograph was my only star, its sun guiding me through grief. I questioned every bond, yet the triplets' faces demanded I seek justice. The betrayal burned, a fire urging me to unearth the hand that stole my life. Evelyn's shadow loomed, but I'd face it for Sarah, for my children, for the truth that could mend this broken shore. I refused to yield. Amid the scandal's tempest, I drove to Hollywood's worn streets, chasing truth in its dust. Outside a diner, I saw Sarah, weathered yet luminous, with Ethan, Chloe, and Noah. Chloe's laugh, bold as a canyon breeze, mirrored Sarah's. Ethan's steady gaze, Noah's shy smile, they were mine. I offered dinner, my voice trembling with hope. At the table, Noah dropped a sun-shaped pendant, twin to the one I'd given Sarah 6 years ago. My heart surged, a tide breaking free. This was my defiance, a vow to reclaim my family. I swore to unravel Evelyn's deception, to shield them, no matter the cost. The diner's warmth cradled us, an oasis in my storm. Chloe's chatter, Ethan's sketches, Noah's quiet trust, they wove a fragile home. For the first time, I felt rooted, alive. The pendant a beacon lighting my path. I'd fight for them, through shadows and lies, to restore the life we were meant to share. Fear surged like a Pacific storm, threatening to drown me in its depths. Meeting Sarah and the triplets, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, had lit a fire, but now doubt roared louder. What if I failed them? The photograph, with its sun-shaped pendant, was a fragile thread to a family I might lose again. In my Los Angeles penthouse, shadows stretched like specters, whispering of ruin. Each night, nightmares gripped me. Sarah vanishing, the children's faces fading, my empire crumbling to dust. I feared losing everything, my wealth, my name, myself. The scandal's weight pressed harder, headlines branding me a fraud. Could I protect them against a force that stole 6 years? My mother, Evelyn, loomed in my thoughts, her cold ambition a tidal wave I might not withstand. Alone, I paced. The city's glow a distant promise. The triplets' laughter, so vivid in that diner, felt like a dream I couldn't hold. Was I strong enough to face her, to unearth the truth? Fear coiled tighter, a vine choking my resolve. Yet, in the dark, I clutched the photograph, their eyes a beacon. The city's pulse echoed my dread, but their faces begged me to stand firm, like an oak against the wind. I had to endure, for them, for the life we were denied. Evelyn's threat was a blade unsheathed, cutting through my fragile hope. I confronted her again in her Bel Air estate, the air heavy with her power. I presented the pendant, the triplet's birth date, proof of her deceit. She didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned forward, her voice ice. If I pursued this, Sarah and the children would suffer. She'd ruin them, erase them, to protect the sterling legacy. Her words were a public execution, branding me a fool before her staff, who watched in silence. I stood, exposed, as if stripped bare on Hollywood Boulevard. She mocked my love for Sarah, called the triplets a liability. The room spun, her thread a noose tightening. She'd already taken years from us, now she vowed to take more. Driving away, the city's lights blurred, her words a storm cloud over my heart. If you were me, would you shrink from this fight, or face the tempest head-on? I was cornered, yet the pendant's weight in my pocket urged me to defy her, to protect what was mine. A spark of resolve flickered, rooting me against the gale. In that diner, Noah's pendant had been a revelation, a truth Evelyn couldn't bury. I wasn't just a billionaire. I was a father, a man who'd lost too much to surrender now. Back in my penthouse, I studied Ethan's sketches from our meal, detailed drawings of a house with oaks, a vision I'd shared with Sarah years ago. They were my blood, my purpose. I wouldn't let Evelyn's threats silence me. For the first time, I felt a strength deeper than fear, a will to survive for them. I vowed to fight, to shield Sarah, Ethan, Chloe, and Noah, no matter the cost. The city's dawn broke, golden and fierce, mirroring my resolve. I was no longer adrift. I was their anchor, ready to face the storm. Curiosity burned like a wildfire, urging me to unearth the truth beneath Evelyn's lies. The photograph of Sarah and the triplets, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, was a seed, rooting me to a past stolen. In my Los Angeles penthouse, I pored over old emails, searching for traces of Sarah's disappearance. Had someone forced her silence? I called old contacts, men who owed me favors, asking about her last known moves. One mentioned a cryptic message from 6 years ago, sent from a burner phone, hinting at danger. I drove to Malibu, to the beach where we'd dreamed, the sand now cold underfoot. There, I found a forgotten journal in my car, its pages detailing our plans for a house with oaks. Why had Sarah vanished so completely? The pendant's twin in Noah's hand was no accident. It was evidence of a deliberate fracture. I contacted a private investigator, sharing the photograph, the birth date, July 20th. He uncovered hospital records from that day, listing Sarah as a mother of triplets, but no father named. My heart raced. This was a trail. The city's pulse felt like a drumbeat, pushing me deeper. Was Evelyn's hand behind this? Her threats echoed, but I couldn't stop. Each clue was a route, digging toward the truth. The ocean's roar urged me on, its waves a reminder of promises unbroken, guiding me through the haze of doubt. A clue emerged, sharp as a thorn, with a warning trailing like smoke. The investigator found a letter mailed to Sarah's old address, postmarked days after her disappearance. It read, "Leave, or they'll pay." No signature, but the phrasing mirrored Evelyn's cold precision. I met Sarah at a quiet Venice Beach cafe, her eyes weary but fierce. She admitted receiving threats, forcing her to flee with the children to protect them. My blood boiled. Evelyn's shadow loomed larger. That night, my phone rang, an unknown voice, low and menacing. "Drop this, or the kids won't be safe." The call ended abruptly, leaving silence heavier than stone. I stood on my balcony, the city's lights flickering like scattered seeds. The letter, the call, they confirmed a conspiracy, but also danger. Evelyn's reach was vast, her ruthlessness a storm I'd underestimated. If you were me, would you heed the warning or chase the truth? The pendant's weight in my pocket was a quiet defiance, urging me forward. The ocean's distant hum called me to courage. But fear lingered, a cloud over my resolve. I declared my stand, a vow carved in stone. I wouldn't let Evelyn's threats bury my family again. In my penthouse, I wrote a letter to Sarah, promising to protect her and the children, no matter the cost. I hired security, moved them to a safe house beyond Evelyn's reach. To my investigator, I gave a new task: dig into Evelyn's past. Her deals, her allies. I'd expose her, not just for me, but for Ethan, Chloe, Noah. Their faces, their laughter, were my North Star. I knew this path would upend my empire. But silence was no longer an option. If you were me, would you risk it all for truth? The city's dawn broke, golden as the pendant, mirroring my resolve. I was no longer just a billionaire. I was a father, fighting for a future we deserved. The truth was a root I'd unearth, no matter how deep it lay. I couldn't wait in shadows any longer. The truth demanded action. Clutching the threatening letter and the photograph of Sarah and the triplets, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, I stormed into Evelyn's Bel Air estate, my heart a river breaking its banks. Her oak-paneled study, a fortress of power, loomed like a storm cloud. I slammed the letter on her desk, the sun-shaped pendant gleaming beside it. "You did this," I said, voice steady despite my trembling hands. "You tore my family apart." Her eyes, cold as Pacific fog, met mine, but I didn't flinch. I accused her of orchestrating Sarah's disappearance, of threatening my children to protect her legacy. The air crackled, her staff frozen in the doorway. This was reckless, challenging a titan in her lair, but the triplets' faces fueled me. I demanded she confess. My words a current sweeping away years of silence. The city's pulse outside seemed to echo my defiance, urging me forward. Evelyn's silence was a wall, but I'd come too far to turn back. The letter, the pendant, the birth date, they were my weapons, forged from truth. I was no longer her pawn. I was a father, fighting for what was mine. The estate's manicured garden stretched beyond, a deceptive calm masking the tempest within me. My boldness yielded a crack in Evelyn's armor, but obstacles rose like jagged rocks. She denied everything, her voice a blade, claiming the letter was a forgery. Yet her fleeting glance at the pendant betrayed her. A small victory. Her unease was proof I'd struck close. Then, a new blow, my investigator called, warning that Evelyn's allies were digging into Sarah's past, threatening to expose her. That night, a brick shattered my penthouse window, a note attached. "Back off, or they're next." The Los Angeles skyline flickered, a warning in its glow. Evelyn's reach was a tightening net, her threats now physical. My empire teetered. Investors pulled back, spooked by the scandal's heat. If you were me, would you press on, knowing the cost? The triplets' laughter from that diner haunted me, a fragile success against mounting peril. The pendant's weight anchored me. But fear not, could I shield them? The city's dawn broke, fierce and unyielding, urging me to navigate this treacherous current. I stood firmer, my commitment a river-carving stone. In my penthouse, I burned Evelyn's old letters, severing her hold. I looked in the mirror, seeing not a billionaire, but a father who'd fight for Ethan, Chloe, Noah. I called Sarah, vowing to keep them safe, arranging a secure hideout in the San Fernando Valley. To my investigator, I gave new orders, probe Evelyn's finances, her secrets. This wasn't just about me, it was for my children's future. I'd risk my empire, my name, everything. The city's light filtered through my window, golden as the pendant, mirroring my resolve. I was no longer the man who bowed to fear. I was their protector. Unyielding. The truth was a root I'd unearth, no matter the storm. I stepped into the Sterling Enterprises boardroom, the air thick with anticipation, as if the city itself held its breath. The scandal had reached a boiling point, and I'd called an emergency meeting, cameras rolling, stakeholders watching. My heart pounded like a drum across a canyon. I held the photograph of Sarah and the triplets, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, and the threatening letter, my truth against Evelyn's lies. All eyes turned to me. Once they're Titan, now they're Enigma. I spoke, voice steady, accusing my mother of tearing my family apart. The room erupted, gasps, murmurs, flashes of cameras. I laid the pendant on the table, its sun shape gleaming like a dawn breaking. This was my moment, reckless yet righteous, to unveil her deceit before Los Angeles' elite. Board members shifted, allies and foes alike, as I recounted Sarah's forced exile. The triplets' stolen years. The city skyline loomed through the glass, a witness to this reckoning. I was no longer invisible. I was a storm, unyielding. The weight of their stares didn't break me, it fueled me. The truth was a river, carving through Evelyn's empire, and I'd let it flow, no matter the cost. Evelyn rose, her face a mask of control. But I was ready. I presented the letter, leave, or they'll pay, its words her signature. My investigator unveiled bank records, payments to silence Sarah, tied to Evelyn's accounts. A recorded call. Her voice threatening my children played to a stunned room. She faltered, her denial crumbling like dry earth. I protected our legacy, she snapped, admitting her scheme to preserve the Sterling name. The boardroom fell silent, her confession a thunderclap. I stood taller, the pendants light my anchor. She'd manipulated, lied, stolen my family, but no more. The truth was out, a seed taking root. If you were me, would you have dared this exposure? The city's pulse echoed my triumph, but the battle wasn't over. Evelyn's fall was my rise, a father reclaiming his own. The room's silence broke like a tide, shifting from shock to belief. Board members, once loyal to Evelyn, exchanged glances, their doubt turning to conviction. A senior director stood, voice trembling, admitting he'd seen her pressure others. Another revealed memos hinting at her schemes. The crowd's whispers grew to applause, a wave of support crashing over me. Reporters scribbled furiously, their skepticism replaced by respect. I saw it in their eyes, a new lens, viewing me not as a fallen billionaire, but as a man fighting for his children. If you've ever felt the world turn toward you, you know that moment. The photograph of Ethan, Chloe, and Noah burned in my pocket, their faces my strength. The city's light streamed through the windows, golden as hope, mirroring the shift. I was no longer alone. A tide had risen, carrying me forward, ready to rebuild what was lost. Exposing Evelyn should have freed me, but doubt crept in like fog over a Los Angeles dawn. In my penthouse, the city's lights flickered, mocking my victory. Had I done right, shattering my mother's legacy for a family I barely knew? The photograph of Sarah and the triplets, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, lay heavy in my hands, their faces both anchor and question. What if I destroyed too much? My empire teetered, investors fleeing, headlines still sharp. Was I a father or a fool chasing ghosts? The boardroom's applause faded in memory, replaced by whispers of my recklessness. I traded certainty for chaos, power for truth. Alone, I paced, the pendant's sun shape a dim glow against my uncertainty. Had I hurt Sarah more by dragging her into this storm? The triplets' laughter, so vivid in that diner, felt distant, a dream I might taint. My reflection showed a man fraying, wealth meaningless against this void. The city's pulse thrummed, a reminder of stakes I couldn't measure. If you were me, would you question every step or trust the path? Doubt was a tide, pulling me under, yet their eyes in the photograph begged me to rise. I was a seed buried in dark soil, unsure if I'd break through or wither. Fear burrowed deeper, a root touching my core. In nightmares, I saw Ethan's wheelchair empty, Chloe's laugh silenced, Noah's sketches burned. I feared I was nothing without my name. That Sarah and the children didn't need me, a broken man who'd failed them once. Memories of my childhood flooded back. Evelyn's cold expectations, my father's absence. My own yearning for love unreturned. Was I repeating that cycle, chasing a family only to lose them? The city's skyline loomed like a judgment, its shadows swallowing me. If you've ever felt alone against the world, you know this panic. I stood on my balcony, the Pacific's distant roar a mirror to my dread. Could I protect them from Evelyn's lingering reach? The pendant's weight felt like a chain, tying me to a past I couldn't escape. Fear whispered I'd lose everything, yet the triplets' faces called me to fight. I was a sapling in a storm, bending, but not yet broken, searching for light. I chose to stand, my roots finding firm earth. In my penthouse, I burned old doubts, their ashes a quiet vow. I wasn't perfect, but I was theirs, father to Ethan, Chloe, Noah, partner to Sarah. I wrote their names, a mantra against fear. I'd faltered, but I wouldn't fall. The city's dawn broke, clear as the pendant's glow. Washing away fog, I called my investigator, pushing deeper into Evelyn's secrets for my children's future. I wasn't the billionaire who bowed to power, nor the son shaped by Evelyn's will. I was Liam, flawed but fierce, choosing love over legacy. If you were me, would you embrace your scars? The photograph was my compass, guiding me to a truth worth fighting for. I'd grow, a tree against the wind, for them. The boardroom revelation rippled across Los Angeles like a turbulent sea, splitting the city's heart. On social media, some hailed me a hero. A father fighting for Ethan, Chloe, and Noah. Hashtags like #SterlingTruth trended, their voices a rising tide. Others branded me a traitor, accusing me of fabricating lies to dethrone Evelyn for profit. News anchors debated my motives, their words sharp as coastal cliffs. Old allies distanced themselves, fearing the scandal's stain, while strangers left flowers at my office, moved by the photograph's sun-shaped pendant. The Los Angeles Times ran dueling op-eds. One praised my courage, another called me reckless. Walking Sunset Boulevard, I felt eyes, some warm, some cold, judging my every step. My empire wavered, stocks dipping as investors wavered. If you were me, would you bask in the support or shrink from the scorn? The city's pulse was a divided drum, its lights flickering like uncertain stars. The triplets' faces, safe in my pocket, anchored me. But the public split verdict was a storm I hadn't foreseen. Their cheers and jeers clashed, a tempest testing my resolve. I stood on my balcony, the Pacific's roar a mirror to this chaos, wondering if truth could ever unite a fractured shore. Evelyn struck back, her wrath a wildfire scorching my gains. From her Bel Air stronghold, she launched a defamation campaign, her lawyers suing me for slander, demanding millions. She leaked doctored emails to tabloids, painting me as a scheming son who'd framed her. A press conference aired her tearful denial, claiming she'd only protected me. Her allies flooded airwaves, twisting my story. Sarah was a gold digger, the triplets a ploy. The pendant, she said, was a common trinket, not proof. My investigator warned of her digging into Sarah's past, threatening exposure. A late-night call hissed. You'll lose them all. The city's skyline loomed, its shadows her reach. If you face such a counterattack, would you fight or flee? The photograph's weight burned, urging defiance, but Evelyn's lies spread like smoke, choking my support. The ocean's rhythm called for courage, yet her assault was a blaze I struggled to outrun. Her onslaught cornered me, a tree battered by gales. Sarah, fearing Evelyn's threats, vanished with the triplets, leaving a note begging me to stop for their safety. My heart sank. I'd lost them again. The lawsuit drained my accounts, my company teetering as clients fled. Old friends turned away, believing Evelyn's tales. Alone in my penthouse, I faced ruin, financial, emotional, absolute. The scandal's weight crushed me, headlines now doubting my truth. If you were me, would you surrender to despair? The city's dawn was dim, a faint echo of the pendant's glow. I was a man stripped bare, my empire dust, my family gone. Yet, their faces, Ethan's resolve, Chloe's fire. Noah's quiet strength whispered hope. I couldn't yield, not while Evelyn's lies stood. The fight was all I had left. In my darkest hour, a single voice pierced the fog. Arthur Hayes, a grizzled former journalist who'd once exposed corruption in Los Angeles, appeared at my penthouse door. His eyes, weathered like coastal cliffs, held no judgment, only truth. I believe you, Liam, he said, handing me a coffee, its warmth a quiet gesture. He'd followed the scandal, seen the photograph of Sarah and the triplets, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, and recognized Evelyn's hand. Arthur, a friend from years past, had lost his own family to ambition's cost. He understood my fight. He offered his skills, his network, to find Sarah and expose Evelyn's deeper crimes. If you were me, would you trust again after so much betrayal? The city's skyline glowed, a faint promise through the haze. I clutched the sun-shaped pendant, its light a spark mirrored in Arthur's resolve. He was no stranger to battles, his scars proof of courage I needed. The Pacific's distant hum sang of hope, urging me to accept this lifeline. Arthur's presence was a seed, planted in barren soil, offering a chance to grow beyond my solitude. I nodded, and for the first time in weeks, I wasn't alone, the weight of my fight shared on this fragile shore. We forged a bond, a river carving through stone. Arthur and I met nightly, poring over documents in a cramped Venice Beach office. He shared stories of his own losses, building trust where doubt once stood. Together, we traced Evelyn's financial trails, unearthing payments to silence Sarah. I opened up about the triplets, their laughter my fuel. Arthur listened, his silence a vow to help. We contacted Sarah's old neighbors, piecing together her forced flight. If you were me, would you lean into such a partnership? The city's pulse quickened, its lights a map we followed. The pendant's glow guided our work, a beacon of truth. Arthur's expertise and my determination wove a plan. Find Sarah, protect the children, dismantle Evelyn's lies. Each shared truth strengthened us, a current flowing stronger. The ocean's rhythm echoed our purpose, a tide rising against the storm. We weren't just allies, we were a force, rooted in the hope of reuniting my family. Our fight sparked a wider flame, spreading like wildfire across Los Angeles. Arthur leaked our findings to trusted reporters, and stories of Evelyn's manipulation hit the press. Employees at Sterling Enterprises, long silenced by her reign, emailed me, sharing tales of her coercion. A hashtag Justice for Sterling, surged online, voices amplifying our cause. If you've ever seen a community rise, you know this power. The photograph of Ethan, Chloe, and Noah became a symbol, shared by strangers who'd faced their own betrayals. Protests gathered outside Evelyn's estate, demanding accountability. The city's dawn broke, golden as the pendant, mirroring this growing tide. I wasn't alone anymore. Hundreds carried my story, their support a river washing away Evelyn's lies. The fight for my family had become a movement, its roots deep, its reach vast. Evelyn's vengeance roared back, a tempest fiercer than any Los Angeles storm. From her Bel Air fortress, she unleashed a final assault, wielding her wealth like wildfire. She bribed media outlets, flooding airwaves with lies. I'd forged the photograph of Sarah and the triplets, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, to seize her empire. Doctored records surfaced, claiming Sarah was a con artist. The sun-shaped pendant a cheap fraud. Her lawyers filed new suits, threatening to bankrupt me, while her allies smeared Arthur Hayes, branding him a disgraced hack. Protests outside Sterling Enterprises turned violent, her paid agitators clashing with supporters. A chilling letter arrived. Your children will pay for your arrogance. The city skyline loomed, its shadows her dominion. If you were me, would you face this hurricane? The pendant's glow flickered in my pocket, a frail light against her rage. Evelyn's lies choked the truth, her power a tidal wave I feared I couldn't stem. My empire crumbled, stocks plummeting, allies wavering. The Pacific's roar echoed her wrath, yet the triplets' faces urged me to stand. She'd stolen years from us. I wouldn't let her take more. The storm was hers, but the shore was mine, and I'd fight to hold it. I faced her in the Sterling Enterprises boardroom, a battlefield under a breaking dawn. Cameras rolled, the world watching as I entered, Arthur at my side, the pendant blazing in my hand. You tore my family apart, I declared. Voice a river-cutting stone. I presented Arthur's evidence, bank transfers, recorded threats, witnesses from her inner circle. Evelyn smirked, deflecting, but I pressed on, showing the triplets' birth records tied to her payments. Her mask cracked. She lunged, shouting I'd ruined her legacy. I stood firm, the photograph my shield, their faces Ethan's resolve. Chloe's fire, Noah's quiet strength, my sword. If you were me, would you falter before her fury? The room held its breath, the city's pulse a drumbeat. Arthur's steady gaze anchored me. The truth a current we'd unleashed. Evelyn's lies unraveled, her empire exposed as a house of ash. The boardroom's glass reflected a rising sun, heralding her fall, my heart alight with purpose. The truth broke free, a sun piercing the storm. Evelyn's allies abandoned her, board members voting to oust her from Sterling Enterprises. Her confession, forced by evidence, echoed online. Hashtag Justice for Sterling trending globally. Reporters apologized, their doubt replaced by awe. The lawsuits collapsed, her lies buried under Arthur's documents. I stood in the boardroom, the pendant warm against my chest, knowing I'd won for Sarah, for Ethan, Chloe, Noah. If you've ever seen truth prevail, you know that moment, when the world shifts and you're no longer alone. The city's light streamed through, golden as hope, washing away years of pain. Protesters cheered, a tide of voices lifting me. Evelyn faced investigations, her power dust. I'd risked everything, and the truth had carried me through, a river to a new shore. That day, I knew my family's future was mine to claim, rooted in love, unyielding. Evelyn's fall should have been my triumph. But victory came at a steep cost, like a tree felled in a storm. Sterling Enterprises, my empire, teetered, its stocks gutted by the scandal's wake. Investors fled, my wealth a shadow of its past. Old allies, once loyal, vanished, their silence louder than Los Angeles's roar. The photograph of Sarah and the triplets, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, remained, but Sarah's absence haunted me. She'd fled with them, fearing Evelyn's lingering reach. My penthouse, once a throne, felt like a hollow cave, its views mocking my isolation. Relationships I'd cherished, colleagues, mentors, crumbled under the weight of my fight. The sun-shaped pendant, a symbol of hope, now felt heavy, a reminder of what I'd lost to gain truth. The city's pulse thrummed, indifferent to my ruin. If you were me, would you mourn the wreckage or seek the seeds within? I'd traded power for justice, but the cost was a barren field, my name tarnished, my family still out of reach. The Pacific's waves crashed, echoing my loss, yet the triplets' faces whispered of a purpose worth the price. I stood on my balcony, the horizon a faint promise, wondering if I'd ever mend what was broken. I faced the wreckage, accepting its thorns as part of my path. Alone in my penthouse, I let go of the billionaire's mask, embracing the man beneath, a father, flawed but fierce. The lawsuits, the lost wealth, the severed ties, they were scars, not chains. I disconnected from social media, its noise a distraction from truth. Sarah's note, urging me to stop, lay heavy, but I understood her fear. I'd endangered them to fight Evelyn. If you were me, would you carry that guilt or release it? The city's dawn broke, soft as the pendant's glow, urging me to move forward. I packed a single bag, leaving my penthouse for a simpler life. Seeking Sarah and the children. My empire was gone, but my heart wasn't. I stood alone, yet stronger, a tree stripped bare but rooted deep. The ocean's rhythm taught me resilience. Its tide's a lesson in enduring loss. I'd walk this path, not for glory, but for Ethan, Chloe, Noah, and the family we could still become. I began rebuilding, a seed breaking through cracked earth. With Arthur's help, I traced Sarah to a modest apartment in Pasadena's outskirts, reuniting with her and the triplets. Their embrace was a new dawn, warmer than any wealth. I took up a simpler trade, consulting quietly, far from corporate towers. Each morning, I sketched with Noah, laughed with Chloe, listened to Ethan's dreams, learning to be their father. The pendant rested on my desk. A quiet vow. If you were me, would you start anew? Los Angeles's sprawl faded. Our small home became my world. I wrote my story, not for fame, but to honor the fight. The city's light filtered through oaks, mirroring my growth. I was no longer Liam Sterling, tycoon. I was Liam, a man rooted in love, growing toward a future we'd shape together. In our modest Pasadena home, Sarah saw me, not the billionaire, but Liam, the man scarred yet striving. One evening, as the triplets Ethan, Chloe, Noah slept, she sat beside me. Her eyes like a calm sea. She handed me a sketch, Noah's work, showing our family under an oak. "You fought for us," she said, her voice soft as a breeze. She saw my guilt, my fear of failing them, and still chose me. "If you were me, would you believe you're enough?" Los Angeles's sprawl faded. Her gaze was my world. The sun-shaped pendant, now hers again, gleamed on her neck. A quiet testament to my journey. Sarah knew my losses, wealth, status, years apart, yet saw strength in my resolve. Her trust was a seed, sprouting where doubt once grew. We talked till dawn. The cities hum a distant lullaby, sharing dreams we'd buried. She saw the father I was becoming, not the titan I'd been. The Pacific's rhythm echoed her faith, a tide washing away my masks. In her eyes, I was whole, a man rooted in love, not legacy. That night, under Pasadena's stars, I felt truly seen, my heart a field ready to bloom. Forgiveness was a river, slow but steady, carving through my pain. I sat by our garden, the triplets' laughter nearby, and faced my regrets. I'd failed Sarah once, lost years with Ethan, Chloe, Noah. I wrote a letter to myself, then burned it, releasing guilt like ash on the wind. If you were me, could you let go? Evelyn's betrayal had scarred me, but I saw her now, a woman trapped by ambition, not evil. I didn't forgive for her. I did it for me to be free. When she sent a tentative note, asking to meet the children, I didn't rage. I'd carried hate too long. It was time to rest. The pendant's glow, resting on Sarah's sketch, urged peace. The city's oak stood tall, teaching me to bend, not break. Forgiveness wasn't absolution. It was a current, carrying me toward healing. I wept, not for loss, but for the lightness of letting go, my heart a shore reclaimed. We planted an oak in our garden, a symbol of our healing. Its roots, small but strong, mirrored our family's rebirth. Ethan helped dig. His wheelchair no barrier. Chloe named it hope. Noah sketched its leaves. Sarah and I stood hand in hand, the pendant catching the sun's rays. If you were me, would you see growth in such an act? The tree was our vow, to thrive, not just survive. Los Angeles's light filtered through its branches, a promise of endurance. The scandal, Evelyn's lies, my losses, they were storms. But we'd weathered them. Each day, I watered the oak, its growth a mirror to our own. The triplets' laughter filled the air, a song of renewal. The tree stood where pain once reigned, a living testament to love's quiet power. Each morning in our Pasadena home, I woke to the triplets' laughter, a melody softer than Los Angeles's dawn. Ethan, Chloe, and Noah filled our small house with life, their sketches and toys a new kind of wealth. Sarah painted in the garden, her colors vivid as the sun-shaped pendant around her neck. I brewed coffee, opened windows to let the breeze carry oak scents, and felt peace, a valley after the storm. No longer a billionaire, I consulted quietly, my days simple, measured in hugs, not dollars. We walked to a nearby park, the children racing across grass, my heart light despite the scars. If you were me, would you savor this quiet? The city sprawl was distant. Our home was a haven, its walls echoing love, not ambition. The scandal, Evelyn's lies, my lost empire. They were echoes, fading against this new rhythm. Our oak tree, planted months ago, grew steadily, its leaves a testament to endurance. The Pacific's hum, faint but present, sang of renewal, urging me to live fully in this moment. I was Liam, a father, a partner, rooted in a life rebuilt from ashes, each sunrise a promise of joy we'd fought to claim. I turned my pain into purpose, planting seeds for others. Sarah and I founded a foundation in Pasadena, aiding families torn by hardship, offering shelter, hope. We mentored young parents, shared our story to show scars could heal. I spoke at community centers, the triplets sometimes by my side, their presence proof of love's power. If you were me, would you give back after such loss? The pendant's glow, now a symbol of resilience, guided our work. We funded art classes for kids like Noah, mobility aids for those like Ethan, scholarships for spirits like Chloe's. Los Angeles's light warmed our efforts, its people joining our cause. Each family we helped was a ripple, turning our struggle into a river of change. The oak in our garden stood taller, mirroring the growth we nurtured. The ocean's tide taught me, one act could spark many. Our foundation a bridge from our past to others' futures. Our story spread, a river connecting hearts. At a local event, I shared our journey, Evelyn's betrayal, our fight, our healing, my voice steady. The pendant gleaming. Strangers wept, then spoke of their own battles, their words a chorus of courage. If you were me, would you inspire others to rise? Social media carried our tale. Hashtag Sterling Hope trending, posts from across Los Angeles echoing resilience. Families we'd helped stood with us, their stories amplifying ours. The city's oaks whispered unity, their shade a gathering place for shared dreams. Ethan's resolve, Chloe's fire, Noah's art inspired others, their youth a spark. Sarah's paintings, vivid with hope, hung in community halls, drawing crowds. Our foundation grew, a tide of voices demanding change. The Pacific's rhythm pulsed through us, a call to connect, to heal together. I invited others to share their truths. Knowing each story was a seed, blooming into a community stronger than any storm. I returned to Evelyn's Bel Air estate, where my pain had taken root, the air heavy with memories of betrayal. The Oakline Drive, once a tunnel of dread, now stretched like a scarred landscape under Los Angeles' soft light. I walked her manicured gardens where I'd confronted her, the sun-shaped pendant burning in my pocket. Each step stirred echoes, her threats, my accusations, the years she stole from Sarah, Ethan, Chloe, and Noah. The mansion loomed, its grandeur a hollow mask for her ambition. I wasn't the broken son who'd stood here before. I was a father, whole despite the cracks. If you were me, would you face this ground again? The city's pulse hummed, a quiet guide through the ache. The estate's roses, vibrant yet thorny, mirrored my journey, beauty born from pain. I paused by a fountain, its water a whisper of resilience. Like the oak we'd planted at home, Evelyn's shadow no longer owned me. But revisiting this place was a pilgrimage, a chance to see the scars with new eyes. The Pacific's distant rhythm urged me forward, a tide washing over old wounds, leaving me steady, ready to close this chapter. I met Evelyn in her study, her face softer, lined by time and loss. I'm not here to fight, I said, the pendant on the table between us, its glow a quiet bridge. If you were me, could you speak without anger? I told her of the triplets, their laughter, their dreams, hoping she'd see what she'd missed. She spoke, voice low, of regret, of a life driven by fear of losing control. She didn't ask forgiveness, but her eyes held sorrow, not defiance. I shared Sarah's strength, our oak tree, our new life. We didn't erase the past. We faced it, two souls shaped by pain, seeking peace. The city's oaks outside stood sentinel, their shade a space for truth. The conversation was light, yet heavy with years unspoken. The ocean's hum taught me, words could heal, not wound. We parted with a nod, a fragile step towards something new, not reconciliation, but understanding. Evelyn had changed, and so had I, like fields blooming after fire. She sent small gifts for Ethan, Chloe, Noah, books. Not bribes, her gestures tentative, earnest. I saw a grandmother, not a titan, her ambition dulled by time. If you were me, would you see their growth too? I was no longer the son craving her approval, nor the billionaire chasing power. I was Liam, rooted in love, shaped by Sarah's faith, the triplets' joy. At home, I watched Chloe lead, Ethan inspire, Noah create, their strengths my mirror. Evelyn's brief visits, reading to them under our oak, held quiet respect, not control. The pendant, now Sarah's, gleamed as we sat together, a family forged in storms. Los Angeles' light filtered through, a nod to our shared change. We didn't need words. A glance, a smile, said enough. The earth beneath us, once cracked, now bloomed. A testament to growth beyond pain. I stood before a Pasadena community hall, heart racing, to share my journey, the sun-shaped pendant gleaming in my pocket. My voice trembled as I spoke of the photograph that revealed Sarah and the triplets, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, and Evelyn's betrayal that tore us apart. The crowd leaned in, their eyes mirroring Los Angeles' soft dusk. I recounted the scandal, my empire's fall, our reunion under our oak tree. My hands shook, posting the story online, a video raw with truth. If you were me, would you bear your scars? The city's pulse thrummed, a chorus urging me on. Comments flooded in, strangers sharing their own fights, their voices a tide of courage. Hashtag Sterling Hope trended, my story a seed taking root. I showed Noah's sketches, Sarah's paintings, Ethan's resolve, letting their light shine. The hall's wooden beams framed us, a haven for shared pain. Each view, Each share was a ripple, turning my struggle into a beacon. The Pacific's rhythm echoed my purpose, a call to connect. I wasn't just Liam, I was a voice for those silenced. My story a field where others could grow, their truths blooming beside mine. My words sparked change, a river reshaping the land. Our foundation grew, aiding families across Los Angeles. Its work a symbol of resilience. People rallied, inspired by our fight, demanding justice for the voiceless. A local law passed, protecting vulnerable parents, born from our story's echo. If you were me, would you see your pain fuel progress? The pendant's glow guided our talks at schools, shelters, town halls, where Ethan's courage, Chloe's fire, Noah's art moved hearts. The city's oaks stood tall, their shade a space for new policies, new hope. Volunteers joined, their hands planting seeds of change, art programs, mobility aids, safe homes. Media shared our cause, amplifying voices like Sarah's, whose paintings hung in galleries, sparking dialogue. The ocean's tide taught me, one story could shift a city's soul. Our work wasn't just aid, it was a movement. A current carrying others toward justice, rooted in our scars, blooming for all. I sowed hope, inviting others to rise. In my video's closing, I looked into the camera, Los Angeles' dawn behind me, and said, "Your story matters, tell it." The pendant caught the light, a seed of possibility. If you've ever hidden your truth, would you share it now? Comments poured in tales of loss, love, triumph, each a flower in a shared field. I read them with Sarah, the triplets asleep, our oak tree's shadow a quiet vow. The city's light warmed us, its people a community bound by courage. Ethan inspired with his strength, Chloe led with her voice, Noah created with his art, their lives a call to others. Our foundation hosted forums where strangers became allies. Their stories a tide lifting all. The Pacific's hum sang of hope, urging each soul to bloom. I asked viewers to share, to plant their truths, knowing one voice could spark a forest. My journey was theirs, a path from pain to purpose, growing ever outward. Standing under our Pasadena oak, I traced the sun-shaped pendant's glow, my heart full, unburdened by regret. If I could restart, I'd walk this path again, every loss, every fight, for Sarah, Ethan, Chloe, and Noah. The scandal that shattered my empire, Evelyn's betrayal, the years apart, they forged me, not broke me. Los Angeles' dawn painted the sky, its light a mirror to my resolve. I'd faced ruin, yet found a family, a purpose. If you were me, would you choose the same road? The city's pulse hummed, a song of endurance. My wealth was gone, but I held riches in Chloe's laughter, Ethan's courage, Noah's art. The photograph that sparked this journey wasn't a curse. It was a map, leading me home. Our foundation, our oak, our love, they were worth every storm. The Pacific's rhythm sang of faith, its tides a reminder, no step was wasted. I looked at Sarah, her eyes my anchor, and knew I'd risk it all again. This journey, scarred and sacred, was mine, a river carving through stone to reach this fertile shore. I stood tall, a man who'd chosen truth, love, and family with no shadow of regret. The pain that once crushed me now blooms as gratitude, a field sown by struggle. Each wound, Evelyn's lies, Sarah's absence. My empire's fall taught me to love deeper, to stand firmer. Without that ache, I wouldn't hold the triplets' hands, hear Sarah's voice, see our oak grow. If you were me, could you thank your scars? Los Angeles' light filtered through our garden, warm as the pendant's glow. The fear, the doubt, the betrayal, they shaped me, not owned me. I learned to forgive, to fight, to cherish the small moments, Ethan's sketches, Chloe's dreams, Noah's quiet smile. The city's oaks whispered lessons. Pain is a seed, sprouting strength. The ocean's tide carried my thanks, a current of grace. I'm grateful for the nights I wept, the days I faltered, for they led me here, to a life rooted in love. This pain wasn't my end, it was my beginning. A fire refining me for this family, this purpose, this peace. I sat under our oak, the triplets asleep, Sarah beside me, and one truth crystallized. I didn't conquer the world. I found my world in them. This quote, etched in my heart, sums it all. The pendant caught the moonlight, a star guiding my story. If you've walked through pain, what's your truth? Los Angeles' night was still, its pulse a quiet vow. I hadn't sought power or revenge. I'd sought Ethan, Chloe, Noah, Sarah. The scandal, Evelyn's fall, our foundation, they were steps to this moment. Under this tree, with my family. The city's glow framed us, a canvas of hope. My journey wasn't about winning. It was about belonging, about roots deeper than wealth. The Pacific's hum sealed this wisdom, a tide carrying my words. I'd found my world, not in empires, but in love's quiet strength. This quote is my legacy, a seed for others to plant. To find their own worlds, blooming beyond the storms. In our Pasadena garden, under the oak's shade, I wrote to the Liam of old, the man lost in shadows. Dear Liam, I began. The sun-shaped pendant warm in my hand. You felt unworthy, adrift in Los Angeles's glare. I saw you in that penthouse, wealth a hollow crown, yearning for Sarah, Ethan, Chloe, Noah. Without knowing them, you faced Evelyn's betrayal, the scandal's sting, believing you'd fail. If you were me, could you speak to that broken self? The city's dawn whispered courage. Its light soft as the triplets' laughter. I told you of the photograph, the fight, the oak we planted, a path from pain to purpose. You weren't weak. You were searching, a seed buried deep. I urged you to trust the journey, to hold fast for the family waiting. The Pacific's hum carried my words, a tide to that lonely man. I read the letter aloud. Sarah listening, her eyes my anchor. The oak's leaves rustled, a chorus of hope, telling you, you'd find them, become their father, their home. I folded the page, my past a chapter closed, its lessons roots for the man I am now. Standing firm in this meadow of love. I once hated my flaws, but now I thank them, like weathered bark on our oak. My doubt, my fear, my blind trust in Evelyn, they were chains I despised. If you were me, could you love what you loathed? Los Angeles's light taught me. Doubt drove me to truth. Fear fueled my fight for Sarah, Ethan, Chloe, Noah. My naivety, once a wound, was a spark, leading me to question, to act. The pendant's glow, a symbol of my past mistakes, now shines as wisdom. I'd cursed my loneliness, but it carved space for family, for purpose. The city's oaks stood tall, their scars proof of strength. My flaws weren't failures, they were roots, anchoring me through storms. The ocean's rhythm sang gratitude, a current carrying my past into peace. Each misstep, each ache, shaped me for this life. Father, partner, builder of hope. I embrace them now, a meadow blooming where barren earth once lay. My heart full for what made me whole. I looked in the mirror, under Pasadena's soft glow, and smiled, embracing all I am. No shame lingered for the man who faltered, who lost an empire but gained a world. If you were me, could you love your reflection? The pendant rested by Sarah's sketches, its sun a mirror to my truth. I'm Liam, flawed, fierce, father to Ethan. Chloe, Noah, partner to Sarah. The city's pulse echoed my peace, its light warm as our oak's shade. I'd faced Evelyn's lies, my own fears, and emerged not perfect, but true. The triplets' laughter. Sarah's touch. They saw me, and I saw myself. No masks needed. The Pacific's tide washed away doubt, leaving a man rooted in love. I stood taller, my scars a map of growth, not failure. This embrace was my victory, a tree standing against time, its branches wide for family, for hope. I am enough, a meadow where love blooms, my heart a home I've claimed at last. In our Pasadena garden, by the oak's quiet shade, I wrote to Evelyn, the woman I once hated. Evelyn, I began, the sun-shaped pendant catching Los Angeles's dusk. You broke my world. Stole years from Sarah, Ethan, Chloe, Noah. If you were me, could you face that pain on paper? I listed her deeds, threats, lies, the photograph hidden, each word a stone I'd carried. I wrote of the triplets' laughter, now free, of Sarah's strength, of our foundation's hope. I didn't spare the hurt. Your ambition blinded you, tore my family apart. Yet, I saw you now. Frail in your regret, reading to my children under our tree. The city's hum softened, a breeze carrying my words. I wrote not to wound, but to name the scars, to see you as human, not monster. The Pacific's rhythm urged truth, its tides a mirror to my heart. I held no rage, only a need to speak, to lay these stones down. The oak's roots whispered patience, grounding me as I folded the letter, unsent but freeing, a step toward peace for me, for Ethan's resolve, Chloe's fire, Noah's art, our family whole. Resentment once burned, a fire in my chest, but no longer. Evelyn's betrayal, hiding Sarah, threatening my triplets, had fueled my hate, a weight I dragged through Los Angeles' streets. If you were me, could you release that flame? I saw her now. Diminished, her power gone, her visits to our home tentative, her eyes seeking not control but connection. Holding the pendant, I felt no anger, only calm. The city's oaks taught me. Resentment poisons the soil, not the root. I didn't excuse her, but I wouldn't carry her sins. My heart was for Sarah's touch, Ethan's courage, Chloe's voice, Noah's sketches, not for hate. The ocean's tide sang of freedom, washing away old embers. I let resentment fade, a cloud parting for light, my soul lighter for it. This wasn't for Evelyn's peace, it was for mine. A stream flowing clear, leaving space for love to grow in our garden's shade. I burned the letter under our oak, its ashes rising like a stream to the stars. Letting go was my final act. Forgiveness my release. If you were me, could you set that burden free? The pendant glowed in Sarah's hand, a symbol of our journey's end. I forgave Evelyn, not for her, but for me, for Ethan, Chloe. Noah, who deserved a father unweighted by hate. The act was simple, paper to flame, but vast, a tide turning within. Los Angeles' night wrapped us, its light soft as our trees' leaves. I stepped into the garden, the earth warm underfoot, and felt unbound, a man no longer chained. The Pacific's hum sealed this freedom, its waves a song of grace. Forgiveness was my sunlight, my path clear for love, for family. The oak stood witness, its roots deep, as I walked back to Sarah, to our children, my heart a field blooming with peace, forever free. I sat beneath our Pasadena oak, the sun-shaped pendant catching Los Angeles' twilight, and let silence settle like a still lake. The triplets, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, played nearby. Their laughter a soft ripple in the quiet. Sarah's hand rested in mine, her warmth a steady root. No words came, none were needed. The city's hum faded, leaving only the breeze through our trees' leaves, a whisper of all we'd endured, Evelyn's betrayal, the scandal, our reunion. My heart, once heavy with loss, now held peace. As if the earth itself breathed with me. If you were me, would you pause in such stillness? The oak shade cradled us, its roots deep as our love. The pendant's glow, a beacon through storms, needed no voice. The Pacific's distant rhythm pulsed, a tide carrying memories of pain, forgiveness, hope. I closed my eyes, the world soft and vast, Ethan's courage, Chloe's fire. Noah's art woven into this moment. The silence was a canvas, painted with our journey, a space to feel the weight of truth without speaking. The city stars emerged, each a story held in quiet. My family's presence enough, a lake reflecting all I'd become. I turned to the camera, Pasadena's dawn behind me, and spoke to you, my voice steady as our oak. If you're lost in shadows, I'm here. Waiting. I held the pendant, its sun a promise. If you've known pain, you know this call. Los Angeles' light warmed my words, a bridge to your heart. I shared my path, finding Sarah, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, facing Evelyn, rebuilding from ashes. You're not alone. I've walked that dark. The city's pulse joined us, a rhythm of shared scars. Our foundation, our story, is yours too. If you doubt your worth, look at my triplets, they taught me mine. The Pacific's tide urged connection, a current to carry you. I'm no hero, just Liam, a father who fought and found light. You can too. The oak shade invited you in, a space to stand, to heal. Speak your truth. I'm listening, ready to walk beside you through any storm, toward a dawn we'll share. I leaned closer, the pendant gleaming, and invited you to share your story. Tell me your journey, I said. Los Angeles' sunrise at canvas. Your truth could light someone's path. If you've hidden your scars, would you speak now? The oak's leaves rustled, a chorus for your voice. Ethan's resolve, Chloe's courage, Noah's art, their proof. Your story matters. The city's glow held us, a field for seeds of hope. Our foundation grew from shared truths. Yours could spark a movement. The Pacific's hum called you to rise, a tide lifting all. Post your tale, use hashtag Sterling Hope. Let it bloom. I read other stories with Sarah, the triplets dreaming, and saw lives changed. Your words might save someone tomorrow. The oak stood tall, its roots deep as our community. Share your pain, your triumphs, your dreams. Each a seed in this meadow we've sown together, growing toward light, forever connected. From our Pasadena garden, under the oak's gentle shade, I thank you, my heart full as Los Angeles' dawn. You've walked with me from the photograph of Sarah, Ethan, Chloe, and Noah, through Evelyn's betrayal to this rooted life. Your comments, your shared stories, your hope, they're a forest we've grown together. If you were me, would you feel this gratitude? The sun-shaped pendant gleams, a symbol of our journey. Its light mirrored in your voices. You stayed through my doubts, my fights, my rebuilding, each view a hand extended across the city's sprawl. The Pacific's rhythm sings your kindness, a tide lifting me higher. Our foundation thrives because of you, aiding families, sowing hope. Ethan's courage, Chloe's fire, Noah's art, they shine brighter for your belief. The city's oaks stand tall, their leaves a chorus of thanks. You've made my story yours, a meadow where truths bloom. I place my hand on my heart, the camera catching Pasadena's glow, and bow to you. Without your light, I'd still be in shadow. This thank you is a seed, planted for you, for us, forever bound in the shared path of love and healing. I look to the future, unafraid. As the sun rises over Pasadena's hills, whatever lies ahead, I'll face it with Sarah, Ethan, Chloe, Noah, our oak of vow of strength. If you were me, would you embrace the unknown? Los Angeles's light promises growth. Our foundation will expand. Our family will thrive. The pendant's glow guides me, a star for new dreams. I'll teach Ethan resilience, Chloe leadership, Noah creativity. Their future's my purpose. Sarah's paintings will fill galleries, her love my home. The city's pulse beats with possibility, its horizon wide. I don't know what challenges wait, but fear no longer holds me. The Pacific's tide carries my pledge, to live fully, to give back, to love fiercely. Our garden's oak will grow, its branches sheltering new stories, new hopes. I'm ready. A river flowing toward tomorrow, rooted in today's peace, eager for the light we'll find together, a dawn we'll shape with courage. I call you to act, to share your story as I did mine. Don't hide your truth, I say, the pendant catching Pasadena's sunrise. Your voice can light a path. If you've risen from pain, let it bloom. Post it. Tag #Sterling Hope. Let Los Angeles hear. The oak shade invites you. Its roots deep as our bond. Ethan, Chloe, Noah, they're proof. Your story matters. The city's glow is yours, a field for seeds of change. The Pacific's hum urges you. Speak, connect, inspire. Your truth might save someone, as mine did me. Our foundation waits, ready to lift your voice. Share your scars, your triumphs, and watch them grow, a forest of hope. The future is open, a sun rising for us all. Don't keep your story silent, plant it, let it shine, and we'll walk this path together, forever growing toward light.